Okay, with mini camp, there's all kinds of musical chairs, people talking about leaving, people wanting money, people holding out, and it's become the land of the holdouts here in the last few days. Trey Hendrickson, T.J. Watt, Terry McLaurin, Jonnu Smith in Miami. I'll start with the Jonnu Smith thing. Okay. You're in the second year of your deal, man. You're in the second year of your deal, okay? You just put pen to paper like 16 months ago. Play at least another year and then complain. I'll let you take the floor here. Let's start with Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati.
Well, are we starting with Trey or we start with Jonnu?
I wanted to get that out about Jonnu.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was like, dude, you just signed a deal. Okay, buddy?
Yeah. Now, it was a 2-year deal, right? So, I mean, he's now halfway through it, right? And he outplayed that deal. We all know it, but it's a deal that you signed. And now, he's about to be a free agent. He wants to capitalize on that and all those things. Yeah, sure. Then you add in the fact that there's probably a team out there who is willing to trade for you and pay you. And so, well, okay, look, I want to be here in Miami. Guys, you don't have to give up any draft capital. Just pay me a little bit more. Give me a little bit of a raise based off what I did last year. That's his argument. We'll see if it winds up happening, right? Trey Hendrickson.
Yep.
I do not know how this is going to end. And I say that because you have a Bengals team, and I think we're going to talk even more about the Bengals. We can call them cheap relative to the rest of the NFL. Okay. We can just say that. They go out and they paid Joe Burrow last year. They paid Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this year. And what they have in Trey Hendrickson, I'd be really interested to get your thoughts on him as a player. I think that they view him as an incredibly good sack artist, right? Who you don't know that production is going to continue at 31, 32, but not that good against the run, average against the run. And so you're all going to look at the sack numbers, but how does he impact the game, right? Max Crosby at $35 million a year is a guy that on Monday, when you're playing him on Sunday, you were starting to game plan for him.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett at $40 million a year, you have to know where Myles Garrett is at all times, right? Trey Hendrickson, in my talks with coaches around the league, is not that type of player. That doesn't mean that he is not worth
Trey will get a sack and a half a game, and you can set your watch to that. But to your brilliant point, when you think about what the Bengals really struggle with, it's not rushing the passer. It's the ability to stop the run. And if you can't stop the run in the NFL, you're going to bleed out. I liken it to getting a cut on your arm, the run game. Like if you give up a big run, if you give up any run, first quarter especially, it's like you're bleeding. And if you don't have a bandage for that, and that's run defense, you're going to bleed out. You're not going to be able to survive the whole game. So for the Bengals, they have to prioritize and weigh their options, because a guy like Trey Hendrickson, to your point, he could get 19 sacks a year. And I do think he's going to have another year of production like that, because that's his game isn't reliant upon significant ankle flexion or the ability to change direction or a guy with a sexy deep bag of tricks. He runs about 2 rushes, and you either are going to block him or you're not going to block him. Another guy who did that really well was Sue on the inside. He didn't have many pitches, but good luck hitting the fastball, man. And that's what Hendrickson hits him with. It all comes down to what the Bengals see as his value in the run game, which is something I haven't really talked about the last few days. That's a great point.
And so because of that, I don't know that you're going to be able to properly assess his number, right? Because this is his last bite at the apple. So he's going to want a multi-year guarantee, something that the Bengals don't like doing for anybody.
Yep.
And you're not going to want to trade him, because how is his value going to be assessed by another team? And so no one, if you are going to trade him, what we just talked about in the last segment, no one is giving you fair compensation right now. It is after the draft. Everybody's going into vacation. Nobody needs a pass rusher right now. And lastly, when you do get a pass rusher, this, Kyle, you can bring in a pass rusher on Saturday and he can play on Sunday.
Yep.
So there is no rush. Nothing, I don't think, is going to happen.
That's a great point. That's what we used to, in the offensive line room, we prided ourselves on being one of the more intelligent units on the football field. And usually we shared a wall with the defensive line room. So like on the other side of the wall, there's the defensive line room. And I had a coach who used to say that they were in wood shop. They were just over there making birdhouses all day, just a bunch of slow blinking droolers over there across the hallway, down the hallway. But to your brilliant point again, as a D lineman, you can just show up the day before the game and go get the quarterback. Khalil Mack showed up Wednesday, week 1, 2018. He had like 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and like a touchdown against the Packers. And we were all like, I guess practice isn't really something you need to do. Okay, so let's move on to TJ Watt. We can do TJ Watt quickly, and I want to ask you about Terry McLaurin as well.
Yeah, TJ Watt, look, he's going to be a Steeler. He's going to remain a Steeler. There's no doubt about it. The Steelers waited too long in getting this deal done. It further escalated when you go and trade for DK Metcalf and pay him $30 million. TJ Watt, if it's not going to be the quarterback, TJ Watt has to be the highest paid player on your team. He just has to be. And he is a guy who impacts games. He is the Max Crosby. He is the Myles Garrett level player. And so if they could have gotten this deal done, let's say last year when Bosa got his with the Niners or whatever, that's $34-ish million a year. So you could have gotten it done there. Now you have Myles Garrett at 40, right? You got Danielle Hunter at, I think, 36 and change. Like,
the longer you wait.
And you know he's a guy. You know he's a guy that you're going to play. He started in every game the last 2 years, 17, right? He tapered off in his sack production down the stretch last year, but
he's seen what people do to him in protection. It's so, like I had to prepare for TJ Watt. You have to allot 3 human beings to make sure that he is not destroying your game plan. And I want to point this out about these pass rushers, particularly a guy like TJ Watt, who I know has a reverence for the game of football and the history of the National Football League. You know, we're friends with JJ. We work with him on Sundays. JJ's the same way. If it came down to dollars and cents, he would put his legacy over dollars and cents. So for a guy like TJ Watt and all pass rushers, what do we remember these guys for? It's their sack number. Okay. It is and always will be the sack number.
Yep.
So if you're holding out, you've missed week 1, you missed week 2, you missed week 3, that is 210. That is 140 opportunities to go rush the passer. You know how many sacks a guy like TJ Watt could get with 140 opportunities, especially week 1, feeling fresh. A guy to his
week
credit,
1 going up against the Jets.
He always plays, but he always doesn't feel good. I'll tell you that much because I know JJ. And JJ was beat up out there playing football. TJ Watt's the same way. His legacy is more important to him. In my opinion, there's something about the Watt family that I know that their legacy is very important, and I respect that greatly about them.
Yeah, we'll see. This is going to end with the Steelers having to pay him. The one thing in all these guys, I don't see anyone missing a game.
No, I don't either.
Because it's so costly, right? Remember when Chris Jones was like the last dude to do it and the most recent guy to do it. Yeah, right. Week 1. And then they included some incentives in his contract to allow him to get back. He had to be basically the defensive player of the year in order to get back what he missed for just 1 game. It's just, you can't miss games.
Yep. One last guy here, Terry McLaurin.
It's a tough spot. Okay, so here I was talking with folks about this yesterday. Terry got into the league. It was like week 2. He had turned 24 in his rookie year. Okay, he got a 3-year extension back in 2022. He's at the end of that, and now he's already 30. Right. So the way we talk about Cooper Kupp, the way we talk about Mike Evans, like Terry McLaurin is in that 30 and up range, but he's been in the league since 2019. So you don't think of him that way.
Yeah, that's how I was, 24-year-old rookie.
Yeah. Okay. So who is paying a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver multiple years who the deep speed, that deep downfield threat that he is that going to continue in 26 and 27? Right. So it's difficult. Then you go and you trade for Debo, and I think he's probably costing more against the cap. Terry knows that he was the good soldier for all those terrible years in Washington. He kept his mouth shut. He was the captain. And now he just had a fantastic season with Jaden Daniels. And so you want to keep that lightning in that bottle. He knows that. He's trying to leverage that. But what is that worth, not only to the Commanders, but to the rest of the league? I don't think he's going to get dealt. But is he ultimately – here's what I would say. I would wager it's going to be around $29 million per year. And I say that because T. Higgins, I think, is at 28. I think Jalen Waddle's at 28. Those are number 2 receivers on their teams, right? They'd be number 1s elsewhere. They're number 2s. Terry's the number 1 on his team. So you got to get him above the top number 2.
Yep.
So 29, and you can fake the last year. You get the average annual value. CBS Sports HQ puts up a graphic, and we show where he ranks and all that stuff, and everybody's happy.
I'll say this about Terry McLaurin and the league as a whole. Person over player is something that I've heard a lot when, during the scouting process and the draft and all that stuff. Terry McLaurin's a really good person. And I'm really happy that he has, he soldiered on for so long in Washington with, bad situations and ownership. And now he's got Jaden Daniels. I hope he gets rewarded for it. Okay, we went from no shows to unhappy campers. We're going to start with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I'll be quick here on Kirk. And that is that I think he realizes his lot in life. First of all, we talk about legacy, we talk about reputation. He does not want to be viewed in any sort of negative way. First of all, he's under contract. He's tried to work his way out of there. He's tried to do what he can do. That is respectful, and it has not worked. And now there's no other seat left for him. Maybe Minnesota in the future, maybe, but Pittsburgh has their guy. Tennessee has their guy. Cleveland has too many guys. New Orleans has their guys.
New York's got too many this
So that's it. So this is your lot in life, and you don't wait for an injury. You don't hope for an injury, but that's the best you can do right now. He's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Micah Parsons.
He will be the highest paid pass rusher and potentially the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history before week 1. It actually could happen soon-ish, right? We could be talking about this late June, maybe. It's going to happen. Everybody knows it. He's played it perfectly with the Cowboys. He could have made a huge stink last year, and he did not. He has played it exceptionally.
Micah Parsons, what a freak. Okay, James Cook, running back, Buffalo Bills, guy I love a lot, and I think he's integral to their offense. What say you, JJ?
I think what he did yesterday, A, showing up to Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp, B, facing the music and talking with the media, C, participating in minicamp and saying that he's not going to hold out in training camp and he will continue, because the difference here, because he's still in his rookie contract, he could hold out or hold in, and those fines could be waived in training camp. For a veteran, they changed this in the last CBA. For anyone who is on a second contract, you can't hold out anymore. Want your third contract, you're getting fined $40,000 a day, and they can't take it away. Guys on rookie contracts can. And James Cook, who has been kind of talking a lot more than the Buffalo Bills would want him to publicly, because the Bills have a good track record of taking care of their own up there in this regime. And he's been saying that he wants a new deal. Now he's changed. And yes, he wants a deal, but he's shut up and he's putting in the work. I think that's what the Bills want to see. And I think that will help him get rewarded by Buffalo this offseason.
Yeah, and I hope he does get rewarded, because as much as we love Josh Allen and the explosive nature of that offense, this is a bully they've built in Buffalo, and a lot of it's predicated on running the football with James Cook. Okay, so moving on here to Sauce Gardner. I got 2 more of these unhappy campers, and then we'll move into a different section.
I'm going to actually put these two together in Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, because it's the New York Jets. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Kyle. Things are different in Gotham. All right. Things are really different in Forum Park right now, where Aaron Glenn is a man on a mission. He is head down. He is focused in a way that I have seen very few first-year head coaches be, right? You got a new GM there, and Darren Muji, who they have built up this team. They like this team, all those things, right? They are not going out and handing out contracts to guys, even if they deserve it right now. They're not going to do that. This is about team right now. This is about building. They're shutting off the leaks in the building. They're moving past the Aaron Rodgers regime. It's not going to be the same old Jets.
And this is all stuff that you can't just wave your finger over. This is like difficult stuff to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I believe that they are saying, as a group, as a new regime, that, hey, this is going to be about ball. And if you guys make this about ball, trust me, we see the tape. We know who you guys are, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and others. We will take care of you. But what message is it sending necessarily to the group right now to go pay them as soon as Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji get in the office? You don't have to do that. Show up, lead the way. We're going to see you do it. right in
You'll
front of
get
our
more
eyes,
for it.
and then we'll pay you. So I have not been on Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson contract watch, because I don't think it's going to happen.
This is just the culture they're trying to instill. They're trying to keep, instead of showing the room a carrot and then handing it to somebody who hasn't run yet, you say, everybody can get this, run fast.
And so late July, get into August, basically training camp. Then I can see it happen. Let's make sure that these guys still show up to mandatory minicamp. Let's make sure that they're doing things the right way, right?
There's a lot of boxes to check yet.